This is my attempt to do a short video that's actually short. It's a strange irony in my life that just a few months ago, or some number of weeks ago, a guy named Joe Vegan was actively denouncing me and defaming me because he felt that my fundraiser was not legitimate or not legitimate enough by his standards. Now, Joe Vegan is a guy I had email with, I talked to on Skype once, and who I offered to speak to again. I invited him to come on this channel over a period of many months when we had no conflict between us, partly because I wanted him to defend his proposal for opening an animal sanctuary. Okay? Now, as time progressed, Joe's relationship with me disintegrated because I felt he was actively lying about me and defaming me in a way that really harmed me. Because I had my own fundraiser, and I took those funds and I directly paid a lawyer as part of a drama that most of you already know about, and I don't need to summarize, and the court case is still ongoing, providing me with hours and hours of entertainment and many wonderful phone calls with my lawyer. And believe me, if you thought this court case was going to be wrapped up in only 3 months, I'm pretty sure my lawyer thought that too. So I got a great price on a very fine international law firm in Thailand who's done a lot of work for me, and I think they're still going to be doing work for me for many months into 2017. I'm sure they're not happy about it. I'm not happy about it either. But that's another story. So, Joe Vegan's relationship with me progressed through those stages and then turned a corner when he had some kind of psychological breakdown, midlife crisis. He lost faith in his own project with what he was doing on his channel. He vowed to never again do vegan drama, and he reinvented himself with the bright, bold new idea of filming himself eating lunch and talking about what he eats in a day. He basically went back to doing what 99% of people on vegan YouTube do, and he lost, 50% of his audience. Wild guess, okay? But one of the oddities is that throughout these sequent transformations, Joe Vegan has nevertheless continued to propound and promote this vision that in the immediate future, like within the next year, he's going to be opening an animal sanctuary. He's asking you for donations for him to open and operate his own animal sanctuary. And when I just now asked my own small audience here live streaming, does anyone believe within the next 12 months this guy is actually moving to Portugal? This guy is actually opening his own animal sanctuary? Nobody believed it. Okay, there's one guy who said yes, he does believe that Joe Vegan's going to do it. He believes Joe Vegan's going to try and Joe Vegan's going to fail. Okay, from my perspective, at no point has Joe given us a convincing feasibility study suggesting he can actually do this. And I made a video that Joe just never replied to and disparaged. Joe just complained that I made a negative video about him. I made a very constructive criticism of Joe, pointing out just how much money it is to take care of one horse or to take care of one pig for 1 year. The costs of running an animal sanctuary are very, very high. The amount of labor required is very, very high, etc., etc. And though that actually sparked a whole bunch of useful conversations, because some of my own supporters on Patreon, they have volunteered in animal sanctuaries in the past. There are people who knew about the finances, who knew about the labor, who knew about the veterinary care. There are all kinds of dimensions to this question that are actually really fascinating and worth discussing within veganism. And I wish Joe had had it in his heart at any point to come on the channel and have a constructive discussion about this. I would love to imagine that he has a well-informed opinion, but frankly, it just seems like he never did any research. All of that is on the feasibility study side. From my perspective, there are also really interesting ethical questions raised by the basic concept of an animal sanctuary. I actually think it's very problematic that we presume an animal sanctuary is something so much morally superior to a petting zoo simply because we say it is. I actually think many of the same moral and ethical quandaries we get into with zoos and petting zoos exist for animal sanctuaries also, and many vegans are in a state of blissful ignorance about that. But with all that having been said, those are all issues worth discussing. Joe Vegan, what are you doing in the next 12 months? You're not defaming me on the internet anymore. I'm very happy about that. You're not doing vegan drama anymore. I'm very happy about that. You've given up doing comedy and satire. In many ways, I think that's a great shame. Maybe your talent in life still is comedy and satire. You just have to find a way to do comedy and satire that doesn't involve defamation and mean-spirited gossip. You wouldn't be the first. But when I see you talking on your own channel about this fantasy that in the very near future you're going to be living in Portugal It sounds to me like you've gone back to the same fantasy of permanent vacation that not too long ago made you a devout follower of Durian Rider, made you buy an airplane ticket to Chiang Mai, Thailand. It seems to me you've just gone back to believing in a permanent vacation, but now the permanent vacation you're fantasizing about is that your Patreon subscribers will pay for your cost of living in Portugal. And maybe they will, but from my perspective, that's really very problematic, because unlike my fundraising and my charity that was linked to a very clear purpose, it was very clear where the money was going and what the money was doing, whether or not we win the court case, everyone's innocent until proven guilty, blah, blah, blah. Asking your Patreon subscribers to pay for you to go on vacation in Portugal is not going to save even one animal. And as I already sketched out in an earlier video, the cost of saving one horse or one pig, apart from all the ethical problems that come up in that, is actually remarkably high. And I've never seen you sketch out a feasibility study for how you're even going to save 5 horses or 5 pigs or 50 cats or 500 guinea pigs. And it's not too much to ask for you, Joe. It's not too much. Especially given my history with you, it's not too much to ask.